Welcome back to Dan Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain the movie Door in the Woods, released in 2019. The movie opens as a mysterious door appears in the middle of the woods. Meanwhile, Evelyn Eden is building some furniture for her family's new home. She's also busy unpacking their stuff and getting the new home all set up. While working, she receives a text from her husband, Red, asking her to pick up their son, Kane, as he needs to supervise the builders. She later arrives at his school and flirts with her husband while waiting for their son to finish class. She tells him that she has finished unpacking the boxes and realizes there are a few things they need to buy. Soon after, the principal, Mrs. Riley, arrives and Red returns to his duties of supervising the renovation of the school. Evelyn then thanks the principal for giving Red the opportunity to oversee the renovation of the school. Mrs. Riley tells her that Kane is adjusting well to the new school and believes he will feel at home there soon enough. Evelyn finds Kane playing in the park by himself and hands him a toy car to replace the one he lost during their move. This makes Kane very happy, and the two head home together. In the car, Evelyn apologizes for the difficulties the move may have caused him. Kane tells her he doesn't like his new school because nobody likes him and he keeps getting into trouble for nothing. He thinks everyone hates him and doesn't want to go to school there anymore. Evelyn is frustrated by this and explains to Kane that they had to move so his father could find more work in this town. But things were picking up slower than expected. She reminds him that his doctor advised that they should enroll him in a special school where they are better equipped to help a student with special needs. She doesn't want him to be embarrassed though, and assures him that everything will be okay. But as long as his dad worked for the school, he had to study there. Later that day, Uriah, a shaman, visits Evelyn and gives her a tarot card reading. He has a vision about her husband Red and tells her he will have more opportunities and money soon. Next, he reads her fortune, but the card suggests something will happen to her. The shaman warns her to be cautious. Red arrives with Kane, who has had another bad day at school. Red is surprised to see Uriah there, but Evelyn explains she asked him over to bless their new house. Red is uncomfortable with Uriah's presence and asks if he can come back to bless the house the next week instead. Later, Red reveals that Kane had got suspended for 3 days after getting into a fight with some other students after they made fun of him. Red encourages Kane to stand up for himself, but Evelyn doesn't want him getting into trouble as the school is their only chance on getting back on their feet. As a punishment, Evelyn and Red ground Kane for 2 weeks. Kane is upset over his punishment, but cheers up when his parents tell him that they'll go on a hike the following day and have a picnic. They then tuck him in bed for the night. The next day, Kane wakes up early and hurries to wake his parents. At the park, Evelyn and Red talk more about their son's issues with learning. The couple are worried for their son, and Red suggests that they should put him on medication. But Evelyn doesn't want Kane to have to take pills. As the family gets ready to leave, Red hands Evelyn a present, her own online store. While they're distracted by this nice moment, Kane slips away and finds a mysterious door in the middle of the woods. When they find him and see the door, Evelyn thinks it's an antique that needs a little touch-up. Red, on the other hand, thinks the door is creepy. But the couple takes the door home with them anyway, and Kane helps his mother in fixing it up. That night, a strange noise fills the house, but no one wakes up to hear it. The next morning, Evelyn notices that someone had a late-night snack, but Red says it wasn't him, so Evelyn suspects that Kane may have been sleepwalking. Red leaves for work, and when Kane comes out for breakfast, she asks him if he remembers sleepwalking, but Kane tells her he didn't sleepwalk last night. She also notices a rotten smell in the closet, but Kane denies keeping food in there. Later, Evelyn goes shopping for groceries, but she discovers maggots in her clothes on the way back. Evelyn suggests that Kane is behind all the mischief, even though he continually swears his innocence. When she leaves to question Kane, she suddenly sees a ghost in the hallway. Evelyn gasps in fear and turns on the light, but it turns out to just be Kane. He tells his mom that he can't sleep. Kane recounts the nightmare to his mom. He tells her about a monster that keeps chasing him around in his dream. Evelyn tries to cheer him up, but he tells her that he sees this demon whenever he closes his eyes. So Evelyn recites the Lord's Prayer to keep him safe and tucks him into bed. Meanwhile, we see someone behind the closed door. A hand reaches out, but Evelyn doesn't see it. The next morning, Uriah warns Evelyn that their house is no longer a safe place. He tells her the house is changed and is now afflicted by evil spirits. Evelyn stares at him in confusion. He says the evil spirits have been brought into the house by someone, but Evelyn dismisses his claims, saying she does not believe in ghosts or spirits. But Uriah insists they must bless the house now. During the blessing, Uriah notices the mysterious door that Evelyn brought home. Suddenly, the atmosphere becomes scary, but Uriah pushes forward to continue his blessing. He tells her she must remove the mysterious door and burn it, and to be careful of what they bring into their house. Later, Red and Evelyn are having difficulties removing the door. Red thinks Evelyn is overreacting and mentions how much she wanted the door despite his hesitation. Evelyn decides they will keep the door only till the weekend and see if anything happens. The next day, Evelyn visits the town library, searching for books or stories about supernatural incidences. Evelyn learns that the town has a history of children vanishing mysteriously, until the disappearances stopped 20 years ago, but no one ever found any of the children. Later that night, she tells Red about what she found, but he dismisses her, saying she is only getting caught up in creepy stories. The following day, Red and Evelyn discover the paint on the mysterious door had burnt off overnight. This scares Red and agrees they need to get rid of the door by the weekend. While Evelyn cleans the house, the ghost of a girl walks by, but Evelyn still doesn't notice. The spirit enters the closet, and Evelyn hears the door close. She opens the closet to investigate, but sees there is nothing in there. She then receives a text from Red, telling her to get to Kane's school immediately. Kane has gotten into trouble again and has been kicked out. They try to work out new plans for Kane so he won't fall behind on his studies, but they don't have enough money to hire a tutor. Evelyn decides that she will get a job and put her online business on hold. Red also tells her he needs to find more work now too, since the school board has cut his payments. Evelyn wonders how they will be able to pay their bills, but Red assures her they will figure something out. Red wants to punish Kane for being aggressive at school, but Evelyn says he was pushed by the other children and didn't want him to be punished. So Red decides to take him to work instead. The next day, as Kane follows his dad to work, Evelyn leaves to investigate the disappearances of the missing children. She visits a strange woman from one of the photos and learns that she knows about the door in the woods. The woman is Maggie Bradford's mother, the last child to have gone missing. The woman tells her that all the missing children have disappeared from an abandoned house in the woods. Mrs. Bradford moved into the house with her family, but when her daughter went missing, she burned it down, but the door wouldn't burn. She explains that she decided to bury the door, but the door suddenly reappeared in the woods, so she decided to chain it up. Meanwhile, Red drops Kane off at home and returns to work. He tells him to stay indoors and lock the doors. He does, but a ghost appears while Kane is doing his homework. Back at Mrs. Bradford's apartment, she warns Evelyn that she has unleashed the evil of the door, which takes children forever. Evelyn begins to panic, which is only made worse when she receives a text from Red. He has dropped Kane off at home early. Evelyn rushes home as fast as she can, but when she arrives, she finds that Kane is missing. She calls Red, who rushes home too. The couple search for their son, but he is nowhere to be found. Then, we see Kane's toy car in front of the mysterious door. That night, the couple calls the police to file a missing persons report. They search for Kane for days, but find no sign of him. Evelyn blames Red for not believing her when she told him the house was haunted and insists on calling Uriah to help. Uriah tells them they can retrieve Kane back from the other world, but they will have to perform a ceremony to get him back. The couple agrees and begins with Uriah's instructions. Uriah tells them to break down the door and return it to the spot where they found it to perform the ritual. In the forest, the trio begins the ceremony, and Uriah tells them they will need the help of other spirits. He begins to communicate with the spirits and learns that Kane is on the darkest side of the other world, but the spirits refuse to tell him exactly where he is. Uriah needs to speak to the gatekeeper of the other world, but he can't unless he has the spirit's name. He needs to do an enchantment to find out, but his magic board has been destroyed. Evelyn gives him another board and he learns the gatekeeper's name, Impusa. Uriah assures them their son is alive, but needs to open a dark magical doorway to get him back. Uriah begins communicating with Kane's spirit, but cannot reach him because there are too many dark spirits between them. Kane then possesses Red's body and communicates with his mother using a pencil and notebook. Uriah reaches the gatekeeper of the dark spirits. He offers to bargain with the gatekeeper's master for Kane's soul. Suddenly, the mysterious door opens and they see all the missing children from the town, but they soon disappear and they realize it was just an illusion to scare them. They enter the door and try to negotiate with the demon by offering their souls instead, but the demon refuses as they are not children. The demon tells them they will have to do whatever it wishes if they want their son back. Evelyn tells the monster she will do anything, when suddenly Kane returns and the door closes. Uriah warns them to make good on the deal with the monster or risk severe penalties. Uriah tells them he will not see them again and advises them to do whatever they can to forget the cost of the deal or its weight will crush them. The next day, Kane tells his parents he doesn't want to live at the house anymore, and they tell him they will move. Evelyn leaves with Kane to his grandmother's, but Red stays behind to complete some work. Red repaints the mysterious door and leaves it in the school, fulfilling their end of the agreement by allowing the demon to feed on more children. That was all from the video. Subscribe for more content like this and leave a like to help the channel out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Take care.